Hi kids, it's Mr. Heidovich. We're here looking at our benchmark universe text, our mentor text, and it is the We the People text. It's the only one you should be in right now. This particular article or text is called Education First, and it's by Malala Yousafzai. I believe that's how you say her name. But the reason this text is important is it is an argumentative text. She's trying to persuade us to do something, just like we've been working on our persuasive letter to Mr. Schreifels about something that we want. But she's talking about something a little bit more global or a little bit more worldwide. And I'm going to tell you that this is an excerpt. This is a small part of a speech that she gave. And so within this speech, we're going to be looking for specific words, and we're going to be trying to understand specifically what she's telling us. But first, let's find a little bit out about who she is. And so I'm going to go down to the bottom left-hand part of my page, and I'm going to read this caption about her photograph. It says, Malala Yousafzai is an author and advocate for education around the world. In 2012, she was attacked for her beliefs. She survived and went on to win the Nobel Peace Prize in 2014. Now, some of you aren't going to know what the Nobel Peace Prize is, and some of you aren't going to understand why someone might be attacked for their beliefs, but some things you can understand are through these photographs and the fact that she has a microphone in her hand and that we're talking about something worldwide. She's probably somewhat important, okay? And so when people take these stages to send these messages, they're usually not just somebody off the street. She's had some experience that people are going to look to her to give them some kind of advice or some kind of information that will help them become better people. So she's spreading her message in that way by giving this speech. And again, you can see the microphone in her hand. You can see in this part of the world, if you're familiar with maps, this is where she's from, in Pakistan. And then it does not appear that she's very old. So we'll learn a little bit more about that as we go too. Before I move on though, I'm going to tell you there are certain words that you are going to need to be familiar with. One of those words I'll just write off to the side is empower, and I would like you to write it off to the side of your page too. And I want you to just say that word out loud. Empower. To empower someone is to give him or her power. In the text, what you're going to read, Malala says that education empowers children. So just think about what that might mean. How does education empower you? How does it give you power? The next word is shield. And a lot of you are going to be familiar with the shield, but we want to make sure we're thinking about it in the context that they're writing. So when used as a verb, shield literally means to protect. So a lot of you are going to think of shield and you're going to think of this thing you hold up to stop arrows or other things coming at you. But in this case, shield is acting as a verb. It's not a thing you can hold, and it means to protect. For example, using an umbrella shields you from the rain. Malala suggests that working together we can help shield or protect people. Okay, so her goal is to empower children and to protect people. And then the last word that you need to be familiar with is ignorance. And ignorance is a big word. It's in the text, but I'm going to write it here for you, and I would like you to write it also. Ignorance means lack of knowledge or understanding. So Malala suggests that without education, people can be ignorant. If people are ignorant of dangers, they can be seriously hurt. So in this case, ignorance really means that you're not aware of something. Okay, you don't even know what's out there or it exists. And in different parts of the world, there are different populations that know more or less than others about things. So those are some of the things that we're going to read about. I would like you to just follow along now that you've written these words off to the side. It says, in July 2013, the United Nations invited Pakistani teenager Malala to speak about the right to receive an education that all children should have. This is a section of her speech. So this is something she told to thousands of people. Dear brothers and sisters, we want schools and education for every child's bright future. We will continue our journey to our destination of peace and education for everyone. No one can stop us. We will speak for our rights and we will bring change through our voice. We must believe in the power and strength of our words. Our words can change the world. Because we are all together united for the cause of education, and if we want to achieve our goal, then let us empower ourselves with the weapon of knowledge, and let us shield ourselves with unity and togetherness. Dear brothers and sisters, we must not forget that millions of people are suffering from poverty, injustice, and ignorance. We must not forget that millions of children are out of schools. We must not forget that our sisters and brothers are waiting for a bright, peaceful future. Well, I'm sorry about that. It is what it is. I have to leave that part in there because I don't want to restart this whole video because I've already got some things done. So we were up here. Dear brothers and sisters, we must not forget that millions of people are suffering from poverty, injustice, and ignorance. We must not forget that millions of children are out of schools. We must not forget that our sisters and brothers are waiting for a bright, peaceful future. So let us wage a global struggle against illiteracy, poverty, and terrorism, and let us pick up our books and pens. They are our most powerful weapons. One child, one teacher, one pen, and one book can change the world. Education is the only solution. Education first. So that was her speech and that was her message. And I want to really focus you in on specific things because kids, when people give speeches, they're looking for words that will connect with people. Here she says, we must believe in power and the strength of our words. Our words can change the world. And I want you to think about that because sometimes when we get nervous or we get up in front of people, we don't necessarily choose words like that because we get nervous. But she doesn't stand up there and say, hey guys, maybe you should think about your words and that they really affect other people. Our words can do a lot of things. She doesn't choose those words. She says very directly and with her voice, adamantly, we must believe in the power and strength of our words. Our words can change the world. She's very direct and she doesn't tiptoe around things. Other things I want to focus you in on that you can highlight are this, dear brothers and sisters. Okay, she says that not once, but she says it twice. So she says, dear brothers and sisters, to get people to connect with her. Because if she just said, like I said before, hey guys, that's not necessarily the same. When she says brothers and sisters, people are going to pay attention because she's connecting to those family values. And she's saying, I'm not different from you. In fact, we're all one big family. So she's choosing her words very carefully. And then the last part I'm going to focus you in on is this. She says, so let us wage a global struggle against illiteracy. Illiteracy means the inability to read, so a person who can't read. Poverty is low income and people who don't have a lot of money or a lot of food. And terrorism. And let us pick up our books and pens, okay? So the reason these things are all connected in here that some people don't realize, and we're not going to get too far into it, but when people are not educated, sometimes they can't get very high paying jobs, and they can't move up in the world to where they can afford their food and they can afford their housing and they can afford different things. And so um, sometimes these people, because they live in this poverty, they get angry, and this produces this terrorism. So what Malala is trying to say is it all starts here. If people are not educated and they can't read and they can't get ahead, they're going to get angry and they might cause problems. So um, let's take care of the root of the problem. Let's start there, and let's educate our children so they don't end up in these situations of poverty and terrorism. And that's what this particular speech is about. So I'm going to leave you with those thoughts, and I will see you at 12:30 for our meeting, and we'll talk a little bit more about this, and then we'll move on to other things with reading and language arts. Thanks, kids. Bye.